Welcome.
Okay.
Hey, so I saw you and Bailey had a little date this weekend. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh no.
So Saturday night, you're not the first person to mention something about that. I woke up Sunday and one of my best friends texted in a group chat and he's like, I hear you need ice skating lessons. And I was like, I don't know where you saw that I fell, but I did. The last two times we went ice skating, I bragged that I didn't fall. The ice at the Lemieux Center is a lot better than the ice. There's Rambo than the ice outside. And I got too confident in myself, tried to go fast, leaned backwards. I didn't break my fall at all. My hands did not get down. It was just my butt and my back, and it still hurts. So, yeah, it was embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as what happened to the Bills. So.
Oh! I am Butler Eagles sports writer Derek Pida, and here with me today are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagles sports editor Jake Murda Adams. This is Season 2 of the Alter Eagles Eye on Sports.
No, the Niners. The Niners are who got embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm sad for the Bills.
I
know you're not, but I am because I feel bad. I feel like it's
honestly
time.
If you feel bad for the Bills, what about the Browns? They've never even been to a Super
I don't
Bowl.
like the Browns. That's why.
I don't like the Bills. I don't like the Bills.
Well, I don't have a problem with the Bills. I don't like the Browns. It's like me rooting for the Ravens or Nevermore or the Patriots. Ugh, never. I won't.
Brendan, I was saying off mic that I barely watched any football. Now that you're done with football for the year, did you watch any, or were you checked out for a weekend for once?
I had all the games on. I didn't watch all of every game. I went to the gym yesterday during the first game, the Patriots game, and I was on the stair climber while I watched. That kind of distracted me. The second game we had on like the whole time we were making dinner. We made steaks, and we had it on. And Caleb Williams' throw at the end was ridiculous. Like, that's one of the best plays I've ever seen. I didn't watch much of the Seahawks 49ers game. We watched a movie instead, which was the smart choice because we turned off the movie when it was done. It was a scary movie. I know you're not into those. It was the Paranormal Activity where they're in Amish country. Pretty crazy.
Wait, what's it called?
It's called Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
Oh, I've seen that. That's child's play.
That turned off, and I turned on YouTube TV, and I saw 41-6 or whatever it was, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch that. But yeah, I watched some of each game this weekend.
It's more than me. I watched a chunk of the Rams game, or not the Rams game, the first game on Saturday, and the Bills game, and then saw the kickoff return in the Seahawks game. And was like, yep, we're done, and went home. But yeah. That's now that I'm free of the chaos that is Pennsylvania football for 6 months.
One caller into the local sports radio show, and I know you know which one I'm talking about. On the way down here, as I was driving through the blizzard, this guy called up and he asked the host what they thought of what they would think of a trade between the Steelers and Eagles that brought Jalen Hurts to Pittsburgh would be. You're down on Hurts.
I love fans though. They're just like, what if our team traded peanuts for this superstar? And it's like, yes, because the other team is going to give
peanuts.
up.
I wanted to get your take on that because I know you don't like Hurts. You think he's horrible.
No, he's limited.
We're all limited.
This is true.
What would you want from the Steelers, either current players or draft pick wise, to give up Jalen Hurts? What would it take?
The thing is, like, I'm gonna answer this in two ways. Yeah, I'm gonna answer this in two ways. One, the reality is, you can't trade him because this is a team that's built to win, and he's proven he's capable of winning in the biggest stages. I think that he's limited, and I think that he needs coaches around him that are going to push him to do things other than like the three things he really only wants to do, and then none of the other stuff that can actually lead him to a Super Bowl. But in this window right now, he's not going anywhere. However, if I were going to entertain your question and say, what if the Eagles had to trade him? What would I want for him? I mean, you're going to have to get like 2 firsts and
2 firsts.
It's going to have to be. He's a top 15 top 16 quarterback.
We'll give you a sixth rounder and Jabril Peppers.
Well, and also the Steelers are drafting just as late in the draft as the Eagles are, so those first round picks aren't worth much. If it's a forced trade, the NFL mandates that the Steelers and Eagles must trade involving Jalen Hurts. You're going to have to get 2 first round picks for him, I would think. And not that I'm like an NFL trade expert, but at least that and probably a late round pick or. I'm not huffing because I'm breathing.
I know.
I'm huffing because I'm trying to think.
A box full of Primanti sandwiches.
It's
just a box of them.
Might be a defensive back or like
pierogies.
I don't know. It would be 2 first plus. I think is what I would think I'd want for him.
Brendan, would you find it easy to root for Jalen Hurts if he's the starting quarterback next year for Pittsburgh?
I feel like he's another like Russell Wilson, just in a different shape, like the
much
same
younger
sort of motivational quotes.
Yeah, how old is he?
He's like my age.
28.
He's like a few years or a few months older than me, but
yeah,
he has more swagger than Russell Wilson does. I'll give him that.
Well, yeah, because he just tries to imitate everything that Michael Jordan ever did, which is like entertaining when he's winning a Super Bowl, but it's also very like annoying when he continues to try to be MJ and doesn't show any other.
No
job.
one can be MJ.
The week 2 matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants when Russell Wilson went nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that game when Wilson is like not with the Giants anymore, he said that he like tore a hamstring or like he had some really bad injury that wasn't reported. He just played through it or stayed on the active roster. Like Rambo's going to start working. Rambo. But
it's okay. Let him do his thing.
The Steelers would have gotten it. Okay. Now Bailey's home too, so.
But anyway, you were saying about him tearing his hamstring or whatever.
If he wouldn't have, if the Steelers would have gotten that week 2 Russell Wilson against the Cowboys all of last season, they might have had a shot at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, if you get the best game that a player plays for the entire season, that's a really good season. That's simple.
Let's turn the conversation to local football. I'm talking Butler County football. Recently, just had a couple coaches leave their respective teams. Eric Kasparovich left Mars to go back to his alma mater at North Hills, and Larry Wonderuse resigned at Slippery Rock. Brendan, your take? You did a lot of work with Mars over the last few years. Kasparovich led him to 4 straight playoff appearances. What are your thoughts?
So I talked to Ethan Krasinski for a feature that's going to be coming out. I'm going to finish that tonight, actually, about – this was right before he left, but we kind of had an idea that he was leaving for North Hills. And my first thought, because I talked to him, he was there whenever Scott Highmark was the coach, and that program sort of took a dip before Kasparovich got there. Like, how valuable is that Mars job to whoever, like, the coaching candidates that are around here? He's kind of leaving a little late in the cycle, I feel like. I feel like by now, teams usually have their coaches in place, so Mars might kind of be in a hurry, especially if they're gonna like change the offense, change the scheme, things like that. Kasparovich ran, especially when I was in high school, he ran a spread offense that has Ben DiNucci still in the NFL right now. He ended up going to like Pitt and then James Madison, but my wonder is like who steps in there. The talent isn't as deep as it was when Kasparovich got there. They're going to have some growing to do. Might take a year or two. But I would say it's a really good job. Probably one of the best in Butler County, if not the best.
Well, yeah, and it's the thing I'll say with him moving is that move made sense. He went home. Like, he led the team back. That was probably one of the best 4-year stretches Mars has had. You guys would know better than me, but 4 straight playoff appearances, 2 WPIAL semis.
Yeah, I would say at least in the last probably 15, 16 years at least.
So he did a really good job here, and we know that there's some talent leaving now. It's kind of a good time to step away, go back home, try to rebuild that program, which he led to a state title when he was a player. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Brendan, that this is, if you were to open up all the jobs, Mars is probably one of the most attractive in Butler County, if not the most attractive. Obviously, right now it's just them and Slippery Rock that have an opening. It's going to be interesting for Zach Matuzak, the AD. He's got to fill the girls' soccer coaching position, boys soccer coaching position, and football, which the boys' soccer position is probably wrapped up about now or close to it.
He said February.
Yeah,
so.
And he's got a 2 to 3 month, actually longer than that, because they knew the coach was retiring before the season started. But those are two very marquee jobs for Mars to have to fill in a very short amount of time. So that could, I don't know how much that'll complicate things, but we'll see.
You got, as you said, Mars is losing a lot of talent. You said you're doing a story on Ethan Krasinski. He's leaving. He's graduating. Obviously, Aiden Yoakum, who was a senior this year, he's gone. Rushed for over 1,700 yards this year. Two key pieces I would think that are back for next year. Colin Urisnik, their current sophomore quarterback that just threw for 1,600 yards this past season, and a keystone on defense, Jamison Garvin, a junior, who made our Sweet 16 defense. Kasparovich told me back in November that he's one of the toughest kids he's ever coached. And you know, Brendan, I mean, Kasparovich coached Pine Richland for a number of years, won multiple Whipple titles. I think he won a couple state titles there as well. So he's used to coaching really good talent. And when a coach that has that much experience looks at a kid and says, "This is one of the toughest kids I've ever coached," that's high praise coming from a guy like with as much coaching experience as Kasparovich. So Jamison Garvin should be back next year. He's a junior now. So those are two, I would think, pretty good building blocks to the person that does step in to the head coaching position at Mars is going to have, you would think, a quarterback, Urisnik, passed for 1,600 yards as a sophomore, and Jamison Garvin, a keystone on defense. I wanted to touch on, obviously, also the Slippery Rock coaching position is now open. I think the story I did on Larry Wonderuse said that they were only accepting applications for the job until January 23rd, which is this Friday.
Oh, wow.
So just a few more days. What's that?
Better get your name in, Jake.
Yeah, well, and if you get the job, I want to be in there somewhere.
Well, I'll give you the exclusive, yeah.
Larry Wonderuse was coach at Slippery Rock for 10 years. And definitely I would think the highlight of that tenure was the back-to-back years, 21 and 22, when they made the district title game. Lost to Grove City both times, but they had a lead well into the game in both of those games, just came up short. But he told me that he's not done coaching. He's going to be back at some point, and I would love for it. I mean, I'm not wishing for any of our coaches to, lose their job, but maybe somebody decides to resign somewhere else. I'd love him to have Larry continue to be in our coverage area because he's a great coach to deal with. Anytime I need something from him, he always gives me a call back real quick, and I think he's just an overall good guy. Larry Wonderuse out at Slippery Rock, but he said his own words, he will be back somewhere.
Do we put him on the Mike Tomlin plan and have him come in as a guest analyst for next season so he can rebuild his resume?
That would be awesome. Absolutely. I don't know if we can afford him though.
Brendan, has he mentioned too? Because I've seen recently, like with Slippery Rock University and the commitments and the recruiting that they've done this offseason, like Ron Butchley, Seneca Valley's previous coach before Don Barclay, he's like a big part of their like assistant staff, like with recruiting and stuff. Is that something you think would be interested in, Derek?
I honestly, I don't think so. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I think he'd rather stick to the high school level, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know everything about Larry, but I think he's more into the high school level.
I want to ask you guys both this, as you're a little bit more plugged into the football scene than me. And this is like we can't ask this question the same way we would college football or pros of like, who are the most likely candidates to take these jobs or anything like that, because high school football is so much more vast and there's so many more people to have to cover, and it's a different world. But what do you think, who do you think Slippery Rock and Mars should try to bring in next, whether it's a specific candidate or just a certain style or scheme or anything like that? If you had to kind of zone in a little bit on those two jobs, what do you think they each need?
Well, that's the question I was actually asking myself earlier today. I was thinking about, Mars, as I mentioned, they got Colin Urisnik coming back after a pretty good sophomore season, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns. But as a booster organization, as an athletic director down at Mars, we're talking about Zach Matuzak, do you want to bring in a guy who works well with a current quarterback, knowing that, okay, that quarterback's got 2 more years?
Yeah.
Then he's going to be gone. He's going to be graduated. So do you you try to bring somebody in that fits the personnel you have right now, or do you find somebody that has more of a general, what you would believe to be a positive general outlook and kind of blueprint for football in general, or do you focus on what that coach would mean to the current players, considering that's who he's going to be working with over the next couple of years? Brendan, your thoughts?
Well, I've talked to some coaches before about, like, you mentioned the balance of working with now versus the future. Like, this might be, like, I don't know, thinking very positively, but, like, imagine, and this, I don't think this has happened. Imagine taking a coach who coached kids from the time they're young in, like, the midget program, and he moves along with them all the way through, like, middle school up to high school. I wonder what that would be like. I just want to throw that out there. But, like, I think with Mars, they're going to be a very high-profile coaching opening. Like I said, I think that's a valuable job. There's guys from Butler County that coach on their assistant staff who I'm not sure they have enough experience to take over that job. But if you want someone young that can relate to the players, and that's something that's really big on a high school level. That's something you see with Kobe Filippi, the boys basketball coach at Mars. I've talked to the kids there plenty, Austin Orblewski, Vendettish. The fact that Kobe, who is, I think, like a year or two older than me, so he might just be 30, just about, the fact that he can relate to those kids really helps. And obviously we've seen that kind of transition into the success that they've had last year, the playoff run they had in his first year. This year they've had a pretty solid year. Or you go out and, again, comparing it to boys basketball, Joe Lafko at Knock knows what he's doing. He comes in after however long coaching, and he comes in and their success there. Of course, they already had a bit of a talent pool. Just like you mentioned Mars does. Like, Mars isn't going to be devoid of talent. I wanted to mention they're going to be out 4 of 5 offensive lineman starters next year from this past season. So
that's a good point. Sean Franklin, Bazilic, they're both going to be gone.
So I guess it's finding that balance of, like, do you want someone young who maybe played, like, someone that comes to mind for me is Tim Vernick. I played with him in high school. He played at Slippery Rock. He was a Mars assistant the past 2 or 3 years, I think. Or do you want someone that has kind of done and seen it all to come in there and maybe just try and put their stamp on the program right away?
Slippery Rock's AD has been around for a long time, so she's hired a few football coaches, correct?
Bree Simons?
Yeah.
I think this is like her 4th or 5th year.
Okay. And
she didn't hire Larry when he came. He was 10 years ago. So.
Oh, gotcha. All right, I thought she'd been around a little bit longer. Zach's relatively new, though, too, right?
This is Zach's. He became AD in 2022.
Okay. So this will be his first football coaching hire
at Mars.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. He inherited a football coach, I believe, that, you know, has helped elevate the program, as Brendan has alluded to so far today. And maybe he gets a better crop of candidates coming in that, you know, than they would have got. Like, Kasparovich was a reclamation project coming, not because he couldn't coach, but because of the scandal coming out of Pine Richland, or the alleged scandal coming out of Pine Richland with the hazing and stuff like that. He had to sit out a year before coming back into coaching. He gets to rebuild his reputation. Now goes, takes over his alma mater. Mars is in a better position because of those 4 years with him. So maybe they can get someone better from a different part of the Whippeal, even, that we don't cover or know that might be available or interested in taking that job.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
It's going to be interesting to see. I did very little work with Slippery Rock the first, like, 15 years that I worked here. But then when we were once a 5-guy staff, then we got taken down to 4, then we got taken down to 3, and now I do a lot of work with Slippery Rock. So I'm interested to see what coach they bring in, because they've had success there, but they're in a tough spot because they're in the same region with Hickory and Sharon, and perennially those two teams are 2 of the best teams in District 10, and they're playing them every single year because they're in the same region. And when you're talking about District 10, a region is basically like a section in the Whiteville. So they got two incredibly tough games right off the bat every single year.
Any final thoughts, Brendan?
I think my final thought would be we've seen 2 of our bigger schools in the area go with alums, like Eric Christie at Butler, went to Butler. Don Barclay went to Seneca Valley. His coach says Seneca Valley now.
Clay Colemeyer, too, actually. That's 3.
Yeah. And Joe Sherwin went to Carson City. So maybe we just need to follow that trail, and that'll lead us to those next head coaches there.
Well, I have a question, because I learned from you guys the sports knowledge.
Yeah, it's just seeping out of us.
Do you think that that's what they'll do? Would they bring a coach to the head coach position that's already on the coaching staff? Do they want someone internally? Do they reach externally? Like, how do they?
I would think that a lot of the coaches that just coached with Kasparovich over the last 4 years at Mars, a lot of them are probably headed with him to North Hills.
Interesting. Sure. Okay, that
I
makes sense, though. That makes
He
sense.
took a lot of them from Pine Richland to Mars, too, so I'm guessing that's a lot of what will happen. Like Ed Malinowski, he was the receivers coach, and he used to play at Navy. He talked because Eric couldn't be there at our media day. Like, those guys have been with Eric for a while, and obviously that cohesion is why they've been successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're going to be looking for multiple positions, but primarily the head coach.
Well, you name a head coach, and then he puts together his staff.
Of course. Okay. Yeah.
Our guest this week is Moniteau boys basketball head coach Jake Jewart. In his first season of leading the Warriors, Jake has guided the Warriors to an 8-4 start after the team won 6 games all of last year. Jake, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's fun to kind of talk basketball with you guys.
Sure. Speaking of basketball, so your team defeated Red Bank Valley twice in the span of 2 weeks by scores of 68-66 and 72-63. The second of those meetings occurred this past Friday. Red Bank is 12-4 on the season. They're obviously a good team. What are the Bulldogs' strengths, and how was your team able to counter those in 2 games?
Yeah, so they do a really good job. I mean, first off, they're a really well-coached team. Jake does a very good job coaching them every year. So they do a really good job of kind of getting downhill and getting to the rim. And our goal was really just to kind of make that tough for them. And then we wanted to limit any kind of easy kick-out threes. So we kind of did a little bit of, didn't really help off a lot on the ball side. Make them, if they're going to get those threes, make sure they're, heavily contested or off of some sort of, skip pass or ball rotation. But like I said, even though the last score was by 9, it was a much closer game than actually 9 points. So it was definitely nerve-wracking the entire game.
You guys started the season 3-4. The offense was scoring less than 50 a game, but now you guys have been on a tear here. You've won 5 straight. You're averaging almost 70 points. What's changed, especially offensively?
I think the big thing was we returned several kids from last year, but we still added some pieces. Like, Dawson Cook didn't play last year, him coming in. It was just going to take time for things to gel. And then we also got really sick for about a week. We were missing probably like I think we missed like 2 or 3 kids in some games, not in a game, but throughout the week. So getting healthy, getting our legs back underneath us, that allowed us to really kind of start to get back into the flow of things. And then our shooting ability, we didn't shoot the ball well at all to start the year. But if you would have watched us in practice, you would see that, okay, we're a pretty good shooting team. And then over the last, I think it's been like 5 games, we've been shooting like 35-40% from 3. So you do that, you're doing pretty well. And then plus, I'd be wrong to say if adding Andrew Zepeda didn't help a lot too. Adding a second ball handler and a guy that can score off the dribble really helps everybody else.
Yeah, he's a guy that's familiar with Moniteau, and you're familiar with, even though it's your first year, you're kind of in a unique position where you're not new to this program, so a lot of these kids already. Who's stepped up into leadership roles this year, maybe that hadn't been before?
Yeah, the big one is, even though he started games last year, is Ian Ross. He started games, but his role was more of he's kind of like a defensive guy here and there. But this year he's put in a lot of work, especially like as a leader. He's really stepped up and been somebody that's taken steps, especially because one of the things we work on is just understanding what being a leader is. I think a lot of times, kids think that's just yelling at people, but he's really taken that idea of giving constructive criticism in an appropriate way. And I think that's really helped him focus onto the games more, where he's clearly our hardest player every game. You're going to watch our game, you're going to notice how hard he plays and how he flies around. And I think that's really contributed him to now. I think he's scoring close to 11 points per game, and he's averaging close to 5 steals a game. So that he's been tremendous for us.
So with the program coming off a 6-win season, Jake, what were your thoughts on the program moving forward when you took over as head coach last June? And did you set any goals with the kids prior to the season?
I mean, the outlook of the program was overall, I was optimistic, right? I know what our youth programs looks like. We have some pretty good coaches down in the youth. Our sixth graders are actually doing really well right now, so that's optimistic to look at. But we graduated our leading scorer, so then that was obviously going to be a big thing we had to replace. But with those guys coming back, Brendan Sankey, Blaine Jameson, Ian coming back, having ideas that Dawson was probably going to play this year for us, and knowing Weston Cook was going to play football, which is going to help him be a little more athletic and ready to go. They've all kind of stepped up into that leadership role. But honestly, coming into the season, our goal was we want to show up and compete every day. And as long as we're getting better, we want to be 500 to make the playoffs. But I don't think that we were expecting to, really be kind of where we're at right now.
You've coached under your dad for a while and now taking over. What's a thing that you changed immediately or improved on that? You're putting your stamp on this instead of just trying to be, do everything the same way that your dad did.
Yeah. So one of the things, he did a lot was he always took advice and opinions from the players. And I really try to do the same thing there. I tell them all the time, like, this isn't a dictatorship. I'm not here to tell you to run 45 set plays every game. Or like, if you have a suggestion, I'm going to bench you because you had a different opinion than me. So I've really tried to really take their advice, especially with our four captains. We meet weekly, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what they would like to change. So me, it's just continuing to get the players' feedback so they feel more invested, more involved. And then to me, it's about finally putting my stamp on things, which is the way I like to play. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. Is just that, fast, physical, kind of chaotic defense, which leads to a little more offense. And then I always tell them, don't ever hesitate about shooting the ball. If you think it's a good look, shoot it. And if it's not, we'll talk about it later. It's no big deal.
How deep of a team is this roster right now?
I think over these last 6 games where we've been playing pretty well, I think we've been playing 9 guys every game, which is, I don't see that changing anytime soon. If anything, we might add a 10th guy getting a minute or two. But once you get past 9, it does get hard to play a few more kids. But at the end of the game, if it's coming down to the last 2 minutes, obviously, we have our starters are the ones we want in there. But if you tell me we have foul trouble or situationally where we need, a defensive guy, we put Brennan Kelly in there that can, guard just about the best player on any other team. Or we can put in another ball handler like Carson Manier, who's probably been our clutchest 3-point shooter this year. Or we can go big and get rebounds and do whatever we need. So 9 guys I'm very comfortable with playing, and they're all very comfortable seeing each other out there on the floor as well.
Jake, we just talked a little bit about a few minutes ago. Your dad was previously the head coach at Moniteau, Mike Jewart, 7 seasons, I believe. Guided the Warriors to their only District 9 boys basketball title in February 2024. When you saw what he contributed to the program and the impact he had, what were, I guess, the lasting things, the things that can really stick with a kid even after he's done playing basketball at Moniteau?
I think it's definitely, and I said this before, it's just how much he showed he cared about the players, right? It's not about the basketball. It was about, how you can become more of a leader, because those are going to be things that last outside of the school. And it's still those things that, we talk about every day. He still helps out a whole lot by implementing that leadership stuff that he's talked about. But once those kids care, I think they're willing to, dive on the floor. Once they know you care, they're willing to dive on the floor a little more or kind of do those things to help out their teammates because, they're not just out there trying to win because that's all you care about. You care about, are they hurt? Are they doing okay? Are they sick? Do they need, a minute off? Once they understand that there's a caring or some, empathy towards them, it really changes things. And that's how I've really tried to kind of build that as well. I want them to know how important it is that we care, not just about winning games. It's about, getting better and doing things to support each other.
So you are a former Moniteau basketball player yourself, graduating in 2018. Back when you played, Jake, the Warriors had never won a District 9 title. What teams, players from Moniteau's past at that point did you and your teammates look up to? What was the standard, so to speak, for you guys when you played?
So obviously no district championship teams, but I believe, and I asked my dad about this. I was like, what? We went to a game when I was like 7 years old. I think in 2006, Moniteau might have won the KSAC but then lost in like the district playoffs. And I remember going to that game, not anything about the game, but I remember being there and just watching that team and being like, wow, as like a 7-year-old, this was like such a cool experience. They were so good. Do I remember any of those players? No, but I remember that team in that year. And then specifically, so the Armagos brothers, I think it was like Kyle and Tyler and Andrew. I remember being, in 7th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, watching them, just seeing that like strong, physical kind of athletic basketball that really kind of just captures your attention, watching people do crazy things while they hang in the air and make cool layups. And that was always something I was like, wow, I wish I could do that one day. And then with that, you can understand the standard of what Moniteau is kind of about and kind of still is that, they weren't always much of a great shooting team, but they were going to be physical and they were going to go at you and play good defense. So I think that's the standard to me that we're trying to continue to carry over, is that, we want to be a strong team because that's kind of who we are. We want to be physical and play at that level of intensity that other people don't want to meet.
A lot of your players are football players too, correct? And we know Brendan, we know Weston, and I think there's a few others on the team, right?
Yes.
So this is a group of kids that's coming off of what's been a rebound of a season on the football field, and now you guys are going through this winning streak, and you have more wins than last year. It's been a big step up. So what's the confidence level right now, or the emotion like, and what is it taking from the coaching staff and the leaders to make sure it stays in like that sweet spot?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was one of those things. I actually talked to Coach Clay before the season about, we had a couple open gyms where the kids showed up. I'm like, I don't know what you guys did to them in football, but man, they look different this year. So obviously I think what they're doing over there is awesome. And I think they really got that kind of turned around in a great direction. But one of our mottos this year has just been, you got to make every day the most important day of the year. Whether it's, playing a game or it's practice, it's not worrying about what we're doing tomorrow or who we play tomorrow. It's showing up today, actually improving at things and getting better. So that's been one way we've been like, all right, celebrate this win for 24 hours because, you should be excited. But when we get back here tomorrow, it's not about what we did yesterday or what we did 2 weeks ago. It's, all right, what we're doing today, what are we actually trying to get better at, and then move on to the next thing tomorrow.
You guys aren't at that stage, or might be at that stage now, where you can't catch teams off guard now. They know that this is a decent team. It can score some points. So what do you need to do? What do the players need to do now to keep improving, to make sure that there is no lull after this, to make a playoff run, et cetera?
I mean, the big thing is just one, making sure we stay focused and play our style of basketball, which is, again, is that fast, kind of chaotic style. And then we really, we've been watching film and things that we need to improve on. And one of those is, we're not a very large team. We're, we have 2 guys that are pretty tall with Brendan Sankey and Corbin Fallon, but after that, we're all probably under 6 foot. So rebounding and, continuing to commit to the boxing out is something that we have to, really, really work on, especially when, we played teams like Red Bank where they out rebounded us. And, that was not, I want to say that was the expectation, but, we got to prevent that a little bit from happening. And then foul shooting. We started the year shooting well, and then we went through like a 4-game stretch where we were below like 50%. And then we finally got back up to there the last 2 games are a decent percentage. So just being a little more consistent there is going to allow us to do a lot more better things there, even especially at the end of games.
Jake, you've played in District 9, obviously. You've coached in District 9, both as an assistant and now a head coach. You know that there are some very long road trips in District 9. First of all, what's the furthest you can ever remember, either as a player or a coach, traveling for a game?
I don't even know. It wasn't even, what was it? It had to be Coudersport. I think it was close to 2 hours.
That's a haul. And on a bus, I mean, we're not talking a car going 60 miles an hour. That's crazy.
That was on a Saturday, too. It was a long Saturday.
Literally, I want to short sidebar here. Coudersport's up in the area of the state. Not long before you get into Coudersport, you cross the Allegheny River.
Mm.
But at that point, the Allegheny River is about that wide. It's literally like a creek. That's how far up north that is. Jake, is there any big difference in the way kids pass the time on road trips now compared to, say, a decade ago when you were playing?
It's interesting. I think it's from my years of, being on the team, it's changes year to year. When we played, it was a lot of, kind of just playing music, and whether, we're actually paying attention to the music or not, it was there with like some side chatter. But now, especially this year, there's really not much music at all. But it's more of them just, you can hear them at the back of the bus just laughing the entire way to the game. So it's more of a, casual kind of joke around feel compared to like the music and all that blasting throughout the bus whenever I played.
So what was the music of choice back in the day?
It was a lot, ranged between, like, I think it was rap and like some country music. So like,
there you go. There's a combination there.
I know, right? Big difference. Like the country music, everybody knows the words. It's a little easier to say, so then it's a little more fun. But it was definitely an odd mix.
Who's the kid on the team right now that just makes you roll your eyes? You're talking about them cracking jokes and stuff like that. So who gets you kind of just going, oh my God?
Well, tell you what, Braden Beecham, he's not playing this year because of a knee injury, but anytime he shows up to practice, there's going to be one point in time where everybody just kind of stops, looks at him and goes, oh man, okay, here we go.
We are very familiar with Braden from football season. He was one of the media days darlings. And yeah, there was a couple moments during the interview where he cracked some good jokes.
He's a funny kid.
Hey, Jake, we appreciate you taking some time here, and we wish you and the players the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jake. Good luck.
Brennan, are you ready to be stumped?
Yep, let's go.
So much enthusiasm.
He looks so eager. All right.
From your living room.
In the 1980s, there was one AFC team that won the Super Bowl. And actually, they won it twice. They were the only AFC team during the 80s to win a Super Bowl, and they did it twice. What team was the only AFC team to win a Super Bowl during the 80s? And don't think Steelers, because the Steelers' last Super Bowl of the 70s was actually played in January of 80. But I'm counting the 80s seasons, so 1980 through 89 seasons. One AFC team won 2 Super Bowls. All other 8 Super Bowls were won by NFC teams. What was that one AFC team?
Let me think about this. I got to do a few.
Okay.
All right, so
I think I know the answer to this.
we're going to the Beyond Butler segment, where we talk about something outside of Butler, whether it be college or pro sports. And this past weekend, with it being divisional playoff weekend, to me it's a no-brainer. Some interesting results and some big news coming out of, Denver. Brendan, let me ask you this. What would the chances of Denver beating? And I know they're hosting the game. The game's in Denver. I'm talking about the AFC Championship game. They're hosting New England this Sunday. What would the chances of Denver winning that game have been in your mind if Bo Nix was healthy and playing?
Honestly, not even that great if Bo Nix was playing, but I'm sure Jake has his answer in his head, so I'm not going to bring up any names or what happened in 2018 or MVP candidates that went down.
Did you see Nick Foles' comment?
I had to write about it for Athlon. Yeah,
all right, yeah.
It was a little jab.
It was good.
Obvious, but my first thought is, like, I've told you guys, with covering the Steelers day to day, like, my fandom has kind of been sapped out of me. Like, I'll always pull for the Steelers. Like, I'll always prefer they do better. Something that will not come out of me is my strong disdain for the New England Patriots.
Yes.
Just like growing up and watching them, like, basically steal Christmas every year. I wrote last night they tied the Steelers with 16 AFC Championship appearances by earning their ticket to next week's. And writing last night each year that they made the AFC Championship after 2004 when they faced the Steelers in Roethlisberger's rookie season, it was like going through it, like I didn't remember exactly how dominant they were. Like it was every year they were in that stage. It's kind of like the Chiefs are, or were. We'll see it here in the future. Like I don't know. I want Denver to win. I'd rather Denver make the Super Bowl. They kind of, as fans, suffered for a decade. The Patriots, seeing them not do well for like 3, 4, 5 years and be back on that stage would just make me sick. So I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Derek, but I just don't want to see it.
So Bo Nix,
capital J journalist.
For people who were under a rock over the last weekend, Bo Nix gets hurt late in the game against the Buffalo Bills. The Broncos won the game, but he broke a bone in his foot, his ankle, and he's out. And now you've got Jarrett Stidham, a guy with 1,422 career passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 picks, but he has not thrown a pass since the 2023 season. All of a sudden, put yourself in this guy's shoes. You're on a team. You're the backup quarterback. You're enjoying the ride. You're on a playoff run. And all of a sudden now, instead of being the backup quarterback, you're preparing to play in an AFC championship game for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Oh, I mean, it's exciting, but it's incredibly. It would have to be nerve-wracking for that guy.
I don't think he's even thrown a pass in a playoff game either. I think this is his first time. So that's
well, he previously played for the Patriots back when they were horrible a few years ago.
4 career starts,
and he also played for the Raiders, and of course, it's the Raiders. And he joined the Broncos in 23, and that was the last time he actually threw a pass in a game. But yeah, now hey, go get him, Jarrett. No pressure. Backup quarterback.
It probably feel good for him though, beating the team that drafted him and was like, you know what, you're not Tom Brady's successor.
Oh, if you can beat him, I'll be rooting for the Broncos too. But how about the NFC? How'd you like that Rams-Bears game last night?
Like I said, that Caleb Williams throw, like Bailey has gotten to be more of a football fan as she's been with me longer. And before that play, I said it's 4th in the season. We're watching. He runs backwards. He throws the ball. And when Cole Kmet caught that ball, she was more excited than I was. Like, she jumped off the couch, and she's, like, cheering, going crazy. And I was like, that was, like, Caleb Williams' arm is ridiculous. Like, and he's one of those quarterbacks that gets hate, too, because he's more of, like, progressive. Like, I don't know. I probably shouldn't open this can, but, like, Derek, he paints his fingernails. I'm not sure what you think of that. Express yourself. But he gets hate for that, and it makes me want to see him succeed more.
Who cares what he does with his own fingernails? How does that affect anyone else?
Media does. A lot of
it's
they
very
do.
Strange. Yeah.
It is, but it has become a trend.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who do it now.
It's like a Metro male thing. Sorry, I'm chiming in. Derek's face is sort of telling all.
Anyway, he has a great arm.
Derek would never paint his
nails. He has a
nails.
great arm, Brendan, but last night in overtime, they're 5, 8, 10 yards. They're getting down the field with runs and intermediate passes, and then he throws that long one that turned into the interception. I know hindsight's 20/20, but in a playoff game where you're literally 30 yards away from field goal range, I would have kept dinking and dunking because that's what it seemed like. That's what the Rams were giving him. And then he took the shot deep, and it turned into an interception, and Stafford let him down for the winning field goal. I find it very easy. In this day and age of video game numbers, I often root against elite quarterbacks. I can't stand Josh Allen. I can't stand Patrick Mahomes. One guy who puts up great numbers and is definitely going to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, that is easy to root for me. That is easy to root for me is Matt Stafford. And I would love to see him, now that the Steelers are out, I'd love to see him close his career with a Super Bowl and ride off into the sunset and retire. And get ready for that gold jacket.
Like Napoleon Dynamite, right off into the sunset.
His career, like him and Jared Goff, like actually, and because they're so intertwined and they're in like almost polar opposite directions, their career arcs have been so interesting because Stafford just slummed it in Detroit for forever. That team was so bad around him.
Calvin Johnson.
Okay, he had Calvin Johnson and then a bunch of guys playing D3 football on both lines and at linebacker and everywhere else. Those rosters were trash.
Watch what you say about Ndamukong Suh. He'll knee you in the crotch.
Well, that's true. I forgot about Ndamukong. He's awesome.
Donkey Kong.
He was a great defensive tackle, but like those teams were so bad. they made the playoffs twice in 12 years he was there or something like that.
Yeah,
It was not a lot. And
Darius Slay.
Okay. Like he's a Super Bowl champion with the Eagles, but like he's a good corner. It's not like he's going to change a team's chances, but I didn't really care for him because you're just like, oh, he's stuck in Detroit, and then he signs the extension, after his rookie contract, and you're like, okay, this guy's gonna be stuck in purgatory for the rest of his career, and then forces a trade out to Seattle or to St. Louis, or not St. Louis, L.A., and he's now 1-1. He's been in the mix every single year basically, except for like one, and I like his story. I think I don't really like this Final Four all that much, but I'm going to probably be rooting for the Rams just because he's entertaining.
That might be the biggest reason I find it easy to root for Matt Stafford is all those years he was in Detroit. So even now that he's gone to the Rams and he's won a Super Bowl there, I don't know. I kind of always looked at him as, he's a great quarterback, but man, he's surrounded by, well, I'll just say D3, like Jake said. So even now that he's on a team with much better talent, I don't know. I just find it much easier to root for him than a guy like Mahomes or Josh Allen, even though he's never even been to the Super Bowl.
I want to see the Seahawks do well. Sam Darnold, I still think, even I will be like, yeah, Sam Darnold's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback if he wins the Super Bowl, but
I'm in the same spot.
I feel like they're the team I want to see win.
I just don't he could win 2 Super Bowls and gonna be like, it's Sam Darnold. He's bad. He does not have 2 Super Bowl rings. Even he could be staring at me with both of them on his fingers, and I still wouldn't believe it.
Brendan wants the Seahawks to win just because he already has a sweatshirt. He has a Seattle Seahawks sweatshirt he can wear.
I'm not sure if Laura can go back and find exactly what episode this was, but she asked our Super Bowl predictions.
That was like early November.
And I'm pretty sure that I said Rams Patriots.
I said Rams Broncos, so we're both still in the hunt.
I'm out.
I can find that. Yeah.
I don't think I have either. Yeah, Laura, I thought Laura wrote that down actually.
Yeah, I'll
Laura,
find
get on
it.
that.
I'll find it. Yeah, just whatever you guys want me to do. Yes. So wait, who do you believe your predictions were then?
Rams Patriots.
And Derek?
Back in November, I said Rams Broncos, but now that the Broncos are playing with a backup quarterback, I got to go with Rams Patriots.
So you think it's Rams Patriots?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even making a prediction. I'm just rooting for the Rams. These Final Four, that's just the team that I'm rooting for.
You just want the Rams.
Yeah, this is the most disinterested in a Super Bowl I've been in quite some time in terms of
was there some sort of wager happening here with this whole thing?
No.
Are we okay?
Do you realize how crazy it would be if Jarrett Stidham wins on Sunday, and let's say he gets to the Super Bowl and the Broncos beat the Rams, he beats Matt Stafford in the Super Bowl. Jarrett Stidham, Super Bowl champion.
The Patriots
right back to backup.
Yeah.
He's got a starting job from that. Unless he throws for 400 yards in both the next 2 games, he's right back to second string or third string.
Behind it, I'm going to say something that some of the football world doesn't like. Bo Nix is not that good. He's fine. But he's not the second there was a lot of people last year like, oh my God, he's great.
I still like the Broncos' chances better if he was quarterback.
I want Rams.
I mean, he's been at the job all year.
Rams Broncos. I do not want to watch the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I
I'm
enjoy watching football, and I really enjoy watching the Super Bowl.
Does it not matter that Tom Brady's not under center and Bill Belichick's not on
It does a little
sidelines?
bit. It does lessen my disagreements
it lessens
with
the
that.
blow.
I have never been a Patriots fan, and Tom Brady was on the team when I lived in New York, but I'll never forget I was at Hurley's bar watching football. It was where we would go to watch football when I lived in New York City. And this guy was flirting with me. Good looking guy, right? Fine, sure. Ask me for my number, take me out to dinner, right? I'm old school. Let's do this the right way. And he was flirting with me, and then he became obnoxious to the point where I remember the Patriots and the Jaguars were playing. It was
this was
a while ago. So
yeah.
I mean, I lived in New York I moved there in August of 2006, and I left there in September of 2012.
Patriots Jag playoff game.
It was a playoff game.
That was the 17 AFC Championship.
17.
It wouldn't have been then. It had to be
Blake Bortles quarterback that game for the Jaguars.
No, it had to be between 2006 and 2012. I remember the Jaguars were playing, and I I'm pretty sure they were playing the Patriots, or the Patriots were in the playoffs.
Well, that was pretty much every year.
2006 and 2008, they faced each other in the wild card round and the divisional round.
2008. It had to be 2008 then. And this guy is hitting on me, and I just told him, I said, well, because you're a Patriots fan, just kind of being cheeky, I'm going to vote for the Jaguars because I am not a fan of the Patriots. And he did not like that. And then he started going off about how much money he makes. I was like, I don't care how much money you make. Your attitude stinks.
Well, I wouldn't brag about my salary, but if I was still looking, and I'm not because I'm married, but if I met a girl that was like a Ravens fan or a Browns fan, that'd probably be see ya, I'm done.
I mean, I was rooting for.
What are the chances of it working out to begin with? So let's just cut our losses. And
it didn't work out.
Yeah,
clearly it didn't work out because here I am still single. But it's fine. It was just that's my story. Moving on.
All right, Brandon, get back on the hot seat.
I think I have you this time, actually.
Okay, all right.
See, here's the
Do it.
I'm going to point one little problem here. He could have been looking it up the whole time, and we don't know.
Oh, you're not. You're not cheating, are you?
You can go back and look. My hands have been here the whole time.
Pan down.
We should have just had you for the last 10 minutes. Just
They weren't like. What are you talking about?
Right.
They weren't like that. Okay, go ahead.
Underestimates my Super Bowl knowledge
All right,
here.
so from 1980 through 89, the seasons, the decade of the 80s, there was one AFC team to win a Super Bowl, and they actually won 2. The other 8 were won by NFC teams. What AFC team am I talking about?
Pretty sure it's the Oakland Raiders.
Is that it? Is that it?
I'll give them credit for
Yeah.
it. The first one they won was as Oakland. The second one was as the LA Raiders. It's the Raiders.
Oh,
They moved.
It's the same franchise.
Yeah, the Raiders moved like 13 times in their history, so you got it right.
They beat Ron Jaworski and the Philadelphia Eagles in
1980. Yep.
And who did they beat in 83?
The 49ers.
The 49ers did not lose in the 80s in the Super Bowl. They
never
beat
mind.
Washington.
Oh,
Joe Theismann, who would 2 years later break his leg on Monday Night Football.
that's a terrible Super Bowl. I would not have tuned in.
The
for that.
things.
A lot of the Super Bowls in the 80s were bad.
As far as blowouts, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So unless you were a fan of the winning
Destroyed.
team, yeah, it was.
They were also playing on real fields, weren't they? They weren't on this turf. I mean, they were on like.
Some of them were turf.
But there was primarily a lot of the fields were. Remember seeing the games where there was like actual mud and
Yeah.
like. And they're running through, and you're like, how are they doing this?
They brought in domes in. I think the first dome stadium in pro football was the Astrodome in the 60s, and then the Superdome for the Saints, the Silver Dome for the Lions. The Falcons built a dome, and I'm telling you, 25 years from now, there's going to be no outdoor NFL. Everything's going to be indoor. It's crazy.
There were
Lame.
3 games in the 3 Super Bowls in the 80s decided by 10 points or less, and 2 of them involved the Niners beating the Bengals.
Yeah.
It's a bad decade.
26-21, and
It's a bad decade.
They're talking about all the altitude, though. Is the Super Bowl going to be in Denver, regardless of whether the Broncos? No.
Santa Clara.
It's in
It's in California.
Okay. But they were discussing the game. The game next week is in
The AFC Championship
is in Denver,
Yeah,
and
it's
they
in
were
Denver.
talking about that and the effects of like the altitude on the athletes, and that they have a lot more injuries, and they're talking about how it's
It can have an
coincides
impact.
with it can have an impact.
Who
yeah,
was
for sure.
who was the Steelers player who couldn't play some of those games?
Ryan Clark.
That's it.
Well, because they would have oxygen on the sidelines, right, for players who aren't used to
Yeah.
playing in the altitude.
And
Okay.
Ryan Clark famously had sickle cell. He couldn't play most. I
That's
think he
right.
played like once in Denver.
And that's when he found out, don't do that again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think the Steelers were scheduled to play out there like 3 or 4 times while he was on the team, and he couldn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember.
really good safety.
So some
So
big news
buttons.
coming out of the PIAA regarding fall sports. Number one, the sites for a number of fall sport championships have changed. And soccer, high school soccer, no more overtime in regular season soccer. Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
I'll let Brendan kind of talk a little bit more about the OT stuff because he reached out to a couple coaches. I think that's interesting in the sense that it's just going to shorten games a little bit. I don't know how much it's really going to impact standings too much because it's going to be half win, half loss. It's not going to dramatically swing things. It could have an impact on a team making the playoffs every now and then or not. But the one that's really strange is the state soccer championships are going to be held in Pittsburgh for the next 4 years. They announced a 4-year cycle for all of the championship sites for the fall sports, which this is kind of new for the PIAA. A lot of these championships used to be on, like, I think different rotations. Almost all of them were in Hershey for forever. And Hershey's completely divesting itself of like
Except for they still got tennis there.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's owned by Hershey Company or not. That could just be located in Hershey. I should know this and I don't. The only one that I think that they still host is state wrestling championships in Giant Center.
Basketball
too. Yes, you're right. Basketball still hosted at Giant Center, and the rest is it's gone. Soccer, field hockey, football, volleyball, all of them are no longer played there.
Cross country is no longer in Hershey.
That's a surprising one too. Big Spring's not too far away, and it's a pretty good course. I covered a bunch of meets there over the years, but having a state championship on the, like, as far west as you can go is kind of baffling. Like, we don't know. There's not a lot of transparency from the PIAA as far as how these things are decided and who bids. So a site has to be interested in hosting PIAA. It just can't go in and put a championship game wherever it wants. Mm-hmm. So why didn't Penn State get into this if they didn't? Why wasn't Cumberland Valley, which has hosted a couple of these championships over the past few years, involved in this? Or Northeastern York or some of these other schools that are more centrally located? Why did it have to go out west? And does that give like a really unfair advantage to the Marses and other teams out west here are going to have a short drive to get to Highmark Stadium over some of the teams from Bucks County and the boroughs of Philadelphia, which have a lot of good soccer teams?
Yeah, I covered the first year that Mars boys soccer made the state championship game, 2007. They ended up losing, so they finished runner-up the state, but they played Palmyra. Mm-hmm. And Palmyra is literally like from here to Zillionople away from Hershey. So literally Palmyra had like a 15-minute, 20-minute bus ride, and Mars was obviously like over 4 hours. But for me, I mean, for people that cover, if you told me right now that we get 2 teams at the state soccer championship next fall, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, soccer is the most successful sport we have in our coverage area, and girls volleyball. Mm-hmm. It's at St. Francis, which is in Loretto. It's out near Altoona, which is, not a short drive, but it's a lot shorter than.
Yeah, we will definitely benefit from this.
Yeah,
if we have teams in the state championship, but the teams playing in it may not.
Yeah, I would say this: in a perfect world for me, all the state championships. It would be great if everything was centrally located at Penn State University, as golf is, as lacrosse is, but
baseball and softball
were. And if a team that is 20 minutes away from State College happens to make a state championship, oh, well, that's luck of the draw. But just the fact that right smack dab in the middle of the state, you have a gigantic university. I think in a perfect world, everything should be played there. But as you know, it all comes down to bids. And the western side of the state is probably saying, hey, because for years, everything was kind of like pushed out east. Mm-hmm. Now the West has probably got a little smirk on its face. Brendan, regarding the overtime rule in soccer, you did a story for the newspaper last week. No more regulation overtime in soccer. What was the reaction that you got from some local coaches?
So my first takeaway from it is you lose the excitement that comes with overtime soccer. But I will trade that off for having my story in about 30 to 45 minutes sooner. Especially in the regular season. Dan Buzzard, Butler's coach, the Butler's girls soccer coach, they dealt with a lot of injuries this season, which is a reason why they kind of sputtered at the end of the season, and they made playoffs, but they weren't able to advance past the first round. He mentioned like injuries were a big part of that, and having an overtime in the regular season, he said there's some meaningless games. Like, just to be blunt, like non-section games don't really mean much in terms of they don't mean anything at all in terms of playoffs. So he thinks those games, getting rid of overtime, is a good thing. RJ Carson from Carson City, the boys coach, said that he was disappointed when he heard of it. Before I mentioned like Buzzard talked about the injuries, things like that. He understood the injury part of it, but he said that the Carson City boys have played in like 4, 5, 6 overtime games over the past 2 seasons. I'm guessing that it went their way most of the time because he seemed pretty bummed that overtime was going to be gone. The quote that stood out to me was like his favorite saying is who's going to step and be the hero, and now there's not going to be a hero, and there's not going to be those stories to tell from those overtime games. But you still get in playoffs, so if you make playoffs and you're at that point, you still get to make a name for yourself.
There can still be a hero now, just because the regulation. If you're tied with a team 3-3 and there's a minute left in regulation, and you score a goal, you're the hero at that point.
Yeah.
But I understand the whole thing about overtime. You mentioned Carson City playing a lot of overtime games for the boys over the last couple of years. I know this past year specifically, Mars boys, I believe they played 4 regular season overtime games, because I did kind of a bit of a preview on them entering the playoffs, and I think their record in those 4 games was like 1-2-1, because I remember talking to Chris Knopf, their coach, who has stepped down. But obviously in the playoffs, it's going to continue. You have to have somebody emerge from a playoff matchup, so the overtime will still be in play there. But I just wonder if would they? I'm not saying I'd be for this. I'm just saying in my own head this could have been an option. Regular season game ends in regulation in overtime. Was there any thought of just going right to a shootout from there?
Yeah, I wonder. I have no idea.
Although every coach I've ever talked to, even coaches that win shootouts, will say that they don't like that as a way to determine the winner of a game. So I guess
coin flip.
Yeah, coin flip. How about they do it like NHL? NHL, it goes to overtime, right? It's just 3-on-3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could. It's normally what, 10-on-10 plus the goalies.
Bring the goals in, make it half the field, and go down to 7-on-7. How about that?
There you go. Say, hey, PIAA needs to contact us the next time they want to make a decision like this.
Did you hear that? We're putting a call to action out to PIAA. Reach
I'm
out.
sure they'll listen.
Call your friend out
us
there.
/
I know you got a friend out there.
I got a couple out there. Sure.
You do?
I said that sarcastically.
Oh.
Stories for off air. Stories for off air.
We just assumed, because, yes.
No, Brendan and Derek have heard me talk about some things. I'll just leave it as some things. But yeah, I'll ask one final question for the show. If you guys could change any overtime rules in any high school sports, whether for whatever reason you want it to be, is there a sport that you'd want to change the overtime rules for, just for regulation or for a regular season?
In baseball and softball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Extra innings, everybody gets a runner on second base. And I know that's the way Major League Baseball does it now. I can't stand that. Think about it. You could literally have a game where both pitchers are dominant. This pitcher is giving up 1 hit and walk none, and this pitcher's giving up 1 walk and no hits. And then all of a sudden, in extra innings, both teams are like, okay, we'll just put a runner on second base. You should earn that runner. And if you can't get her there legitimately or get him there legitimately, then pack up and go home.
If I could make a rule, it would be that no baseball games in the spring are allowed to be played in weather under 40 degrees. That's my rule.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the current runner on second base? I'm not talking Major League. I'm talking high school.
I get it with the high school side a lot more than the pros. I'm not necessarily against it in the pros anymore either, because I've actually seen it add some drama to it. But I'd say the thing with the pitchers, as you mentioned, is by the time they're getting to the 7th inning, most of these guys are running out of pitch count anyway, so you're going into your bullpen.
Right. So it might not be the same pitcher that was working in the first or second inning, but as a staff, you're still mowing people down. Yeah. And then for the other team to just get a guy on second base, because that's the rule, we're not going to have any more 20 inning marathons I remember one time the Pirates played the Cubs. This was a regular season game, and the game went, I think it was 18, 19 innings. So
I think if I want to be off the wall here, wrestling should get rid of criteria or get rid of it after the first 3, because I've seen matches end on criteria F, which is just ridiculous. I don't like that it's decided by a checklist, that a sport is decided by a checklist.
Criteria F.
Either have, it should be a randomizer that tells you what weight they're going to wrestle at.
A randomizer.
Yeah.
Leave it up to fate.
Leave it up to a coin flip. And then either they wrestle the same kids again, or you have to put in the backups at that weight. Ooh. And have them wrestle. See who's got better depth. Ooh. That doesn't work perfectly, because in wrestling you could have a really strong 120 pounder against a kid that they're forfeiting at 120.
Well, nothing's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
but you would rather have it decided on the mat.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'd be more interesting.
PIAA, we're coming for you.
We're gonna have a PIAA
Snap it to a Slim Jim
showdown with all sports in one day.
Yeah. And by
With
the time
our
we get
rules.
out of here, the rules, the landscape of high school sports will be completely different. See you next week. We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.